Hello, everybody, and welcome to Inside Health App's Thursday Live. I am your host, Denise Armenio, certified emotion code, body code, genius biofeedback practitioner, and I am here with Claire McIntyre and Connie Minnis, and they will be helping me with in the chat and answer any of your questions that you may have. And today we will be working on Entangled Insights with the Genius. I will go over a little bit of training for those who are not familiar with the Genius, and we will be doing, we have selected a volunteer. Linda has been so gracious to volunteer for us while we work on Entangled Insights. And so Linda, if you could just unmute yourself if you're not already unmuted and just let me know like what's going on with you and so I can get some direction on when we work with Entangled Insights on where we want to go.
I have Hashimoto's and otherwise maybe a little bit of stress.
Okay.
And
Any physical pain anywhere?
no.
No? Okay, so your pain is more emotional.
Yes.
Okay, so on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being severe, how would you rate that?
Well, probably 7.
A 7.
Mhm.
Okay. And is it more on the lines of anxiety or like worry in the future? Is it like anxiety or sort of depression or both? Could be
Yes. There's just a
both.
lot going on. And
Okay. And what are your symptoms that you're experiencing right now for Hashimoto's?
I take thyroid. So I don't, maybe a raspy voice. I do have nodules on my thyroid that are benign. I've just had ultrasounds.
Okay.
But otherwise, I think the medicine I'm taking must be working. I feel pretty good, maybe a little bit tired.
And your raspy voice, that's due to the thyroid condition or it's something you've always
I,
had?
I've had it for quite a while, and it could be that or acid reflux.
Okay. So let's see what we can find out, shall we?
All right.
I'm gonna share the screen now so we can go to the Genius. And let's add your name in here. So Linda and NY. Is it 2 Ys?
2 A's, NYG,
Oh, NYYG or NYG?
NYG.
Hold on, oh,
AA.
I knew there were 2 letters in there. Okay. And your birth date?
4/13, April
I'm sorry, I didn't
13.
get the first.
April 1359.
Oops. Okay. So for anybody that's new or is just starting to use the trial of the Genius, this is where you enter your client records. Once I begin an analysis, this record I could retrieve from if I click on access your client records. I'm not going to go there right now because it would delete all this information. But once you enter a person's information here, you don't have to enter it anymore. It will be in your client records. So now I'm just going to continue with analysis. And I'm going to bypass this. This is just regular notes that you can take on the client that you're working on or yourself. You have more space than what appears here. Usually what I do, I just put the date and maybe the symptoms that you're working on, and you could just type it in. You could just type it in here. Or you can, certainly click on any of these items in here, but that doesn't tell you, current or um, any specific information. So I like to enter it in here. So I'm just going to hit done here at the bottom and begin. So now, Linda, I will count you down and say 3, 2, 1, begin. And then at that point, if you can please say your full name and repeat the vowels A, E, I, O, U until this 15-second counter goes down to 0. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, begin.
O-U,
I'm gonna have you do that again because I didn't hear you. I don't know if anybody else heard you, but you're going in and out. I don't know if that's due to Zoom or the connection, but let's try that one more time because I didn't really hear you at all. Why don't you talk for 1 second just to make sure that no, I can't.
yesterday.
Now I could hear you.
Okay.
Um, okay, so let's try it again. Don't like don't touch anything. You ready?
Yes,
3, 2, 1, begin.
Linda Nygaard. O-U-N-E-I-U.
Okay, I'm sure that's good enough. It was a little bit on and off, but I think we got enough. So, now after you take that recording, you can click on the voice harmonics down on the bottom left, and that will show you how the genius has translated that spoken word into a frequency. Okay, and that works kind of like a homeopathic. Homeopathics work by like cancels out like. So that's the premise on how the voice harmonics is working. You can now go to next. Some people ask me what view all is, and view all just gives you all the different format um, numbers here. I don't think it really means anything to anyone here. So I never press on that, but if in case you were wondering, that's what it does. Okay, so now we could just hit continue. And now I'm just going to take a little screenshot of you. And I'm going to add that into my photos. And hopefully that just went in, I think. Let me just check. And there you are. And I'm just going to click use up at the top. And we could hit begin analysis now. And continue. And here it asks if you want to add an energetic affirmation. And basically, what that does, it gives you a little explanation here. But when you add a energetic affirmation, the genius will translate that written affirmation into a frequency, and it will overlay that frequency when you run any of your other scans within this session. So it's just for this session, and you can change that affirmation or use whichever one you want, or you may not choose to use one at all, and that's okay too. The one I like to use is all energies are transmuted into the frequency of pure love. And so it is. And so I've typed that in and I can just hit OK now. So now for anyone that just has the trial or just recently purchased the Genius, if you just purchased the basic version, you will not see custom libraries there unless you've created your own. So the reason why this banner of custom libraries is showing up is because not only have I created libraries, but I have also purchased libraries, and I've also had some friends that have shared libraries with me. So I'm just going to hit begin analysis right now. Okay, so just to tell everybody quickly, the Genius uses a numerical value system. And the way that works is the value system ranges from 0 to 777. And that range is divided into 4 groups that are color coded. We have from 0 to 100 is represented by the color blue, and that range is observed to be chronic energetic disturbances. So these energetic disturbances have been there, for a longer period of time, and that's where I tend to work on first, because you want to work on the ones that have been there for the longer period of time, and not necessarily that I work on them first, but you definitely would want to clear those as they've been there for a while. Then you go from 101 to 450, and that's represented by the color green, and 451 to 688 is represented by the color yellow. And this is a wide range, and generally there's not one specific number that says, hey, I'm 100% balanced, but I do like to see the values between 400 and 600. So anything outside that range is fair game to work on and to try to balance and bring within that range of 400 and 600. Those numbers will change based on what frequencies you add to your main hold tray, because the main hold tray looks at whatever items are in that tray. It looks at the relationship of each of those items together. So an item might be in that 400 to 600 range, but depending on what items it's with in that main hold tray, it may become out of balance and out of that range. So that's just something to look for, and you'll understand it and get a better idea as you use the Genius more. It may be a little confusing at first, but as you work with it, it will make more sense to you. The last range is between 689 and 777, and that is represented by the color red. And these energetic disturbances are acute energetic disturbances. So in Chinese medicine, they may refer to it as heat or inflammation or even over energy. And just going back to the blue range, which is 0 to 100, in Chinese medicine, that may be referred to as stagnant energy or under energy. So maybe for whatever reason, something isn't getting the energy it needs. It may be blocked for any number of reasons, and you need to balance it so it can get some energy back. The Genius is not allopathic. I mean, it is not diagnostic in the allopathic sense. So there is nothing that you would really could bring from what you're seeing here to your doctor's office to say, I just had this scan done and X, Y, and Z looks like it's out of balance, and what does that mean to me? We are looking at the energetics. We are not looking at the physical attributes of something. So if it's a vitamin, if it's a pathogen, it is not the physical, it is the energetic. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that. However, the genius is very accurate in its results in what it finds on the energetic aspect. So with that said, um, if it finds something that's out of balance, it is. So the next thing we can look at is these little arrows right to the left of these, we could call them panels or libraries, and that's just telling us that there's more information. So you could either click on that arrow to reveal it, or you can click on the line itself. That is usually what everybody does, because then when you click on that, all the line items are also color coded. You can also click on these little sort of magnifying glasses here, and that will give you a little description of what the item is if you weren't sure what it was. So that's really helpful. The next thing I want to show you is how we do an aura scan. And I always like to do that before I start a session. So I'm just going to click on aura here. As you can see, there's no arrows or chevrons next to aura. That means there's no library or information. But if you click on the line, that's where we can go to run the analysis. Okay, so here is your aura. I like to see bright, vibrant colors, and not looking like pixelated or dirty or muddy. And they are the colors of the chakras that we will see. This particular color, sorry, Linda, I hope that we can improve on this. I don't love this color so much for you, and that's the color that's closest to your body. So what's going on right now? These other colors of the blue are pretty, but because they're sort of not clear or a little pale, it would indicate to me that there is stagnant energy. But it's also, as we go out more into the other layers, our auric layers, and it gets out into all time and space, and that's a whole other training and lesson all in itself. So we're not going to get deep into that today. We can switch to the old version, which has its own set of equally as good information, and it's not the same on each of those. So just understand that you're not looking at the same thing. What we're seeing here is, again, I'd love to see brighter, vibrant colors. The energy is moving as we're looking at it from the right to the left, but as it really moves left to right. It's just mirrored in the reverse when we're looking at it on the screen. And you do look like you're getting a little bit more grounded because the color is coming down to the corners. It is lifted over here on the left side. So I would just want to pay attention to that and work on that a little bit. Again, these lines, they're actually leaving, but I still see some in here. You could still see this green line a little bit in there. They're sort of programming lines. Again, we're not going to get into a lot of detail on that today, but I would love to see the color come in brighter, if possible. We'll see what we can do here. So now we can just exit out. I'm just going to go back to the regular version. And the first thing I always like to do is prepare the body to receive frequencies. And the best way to do that is I have a library that's already prepared that does it. But if you don't have that library, my suggestion is to put everything in this biofield into your main hold tray, and then you could add your minerals, vitamins, and amino acids as well into that main hold tray and work on those for a few minutes. I'm just going to go to the custom library right now and retrieve the library that I use. It's one of the libraries that is in the bioterrain bundle. So if you've purchased a package and it's the bioterrain package, you will have these libraries. I'm just going to hit begin analysis. Okay, so I have a ton of libraries, guys, so I'm not going to scroll through all these to find the specific library I need. I'm going to click on this little chevron in the center, and we have a really advanced search function, and that is what I'm going to use. So I could just type in bioterrain, and here is the vessel priming frequencies. And for anybody that does have this bioterrain bundle already, you'll see it says begin. That's just a little clue to tell you to begin with that. And then the two underneath it that say finish, you can finish with those. But let's just start with the bioterrain. I'm going to add all the items in here. And now we're in the progressive insights, and I will run analysis next. And I'm just going to put this on 1 minute. This is the toggle bar up top, and that's how I adjust the timer. And I'm going to click on this where it says all, and it will highlight all the items here, and we'll just run that for 1 minute. So Margaret, the Genius does not work on a PC, but it does work on the MacBook Air or MacBook Pro, provided it has the M1 or most recent M2 chip. And that's because it allows you to use iOS apps. But other PCs, you cannot use the Genius on, at least not at this point. You can use it on the Android tablets.
Yeah, sorry, somebody was asking about the Zoom, about sharing. That's where that came from.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess, Karen, the reason I can do it is because this is the later model, so I can actually see the app. It's running the app. That's why I could share the screen. If you don't have that feature, then you have to use like your iPad to mirror it with either Reflector or another, or actually, I guess, connect it with wires, and I'm not sure which one that is, but I hope that answers your question, or why anybody may be a little bit confused on how I'm sharing it. So, your average percent rectification, which we can see down at the bottom, is 37%. I'd like to see 40%. It's really close to 40%, and harmony, alignment, and energy flow is relatively close together. I'm just going to rescan the items here. And I am going to select low, and I'm just going to run the low items so we could see those down here at the bottom, and I'm going to put it on 0 and run it for about 30 seconds. So we have a really good percent rectification now for you on that 53%, which is wonderful. And the harmony, alignment, and energy flow is within 5%. So that's really great and tight. So I'm happy about that. So now we can just go back up to the top left and back arrow out of here. I'm now going to go down to the main hold tray, and this little arrow to the left of the main hold tray opens it up so you can see what's in that tray, and then it also gives you clear all. So I'm going to clear all since we just worked with those frequencies. And now that I'm still going to back arrow out of here until I get to that main system overview page. Now the next thing that I like to do second is when you click on the system overview, it brings you to the general overview. The difference between the general overview and the system overview is two things. On the view, when we look at things in the system overview, we're seeing things categorized. We see body, mind, biofield, and then we also see the separate libraries within each of those categories. So everything is in numerical order by their like library or panel. When we go to the general overview, all the items that are in this on this main page that we see here it's not in any specific category, but it is all in numerical order. And then the second thing it does is it takes all the line items from all my custom libraries and also adds it in. So it's one complete listing of every line item in numerical order. So I'm just going to go to that now. Okay, now you are going to see I have so many libraries, so I must have probably close to 100,000 line items. So when we only have 777 slots, we're going to see a lot of red and the same number. If I look at the blue, if you click up top where it says 0 to 100, it gives you the reciprocal version. Again, you're going to see a lot of blue and a lot of ones. I don't want anybody to freak out or think that, oh God, they have so much, wrong with them. It's just that you have a lot of items that we have to condense into a finite number of 777 items. So it's going to be repetitive. That doesn't make it less um, um, efficient though in diagnosing. So we're not diagnosing, but looking at energetic disturbances. So what the Genius has done to make it easy, since there are so many light items here for me, is I can hit this plus button and it allows me to add the top 50, which is going to be the red items, and add those to the main hold tray. And then I could add the bottom 50, which are all these items here. And probably most of them are all number one. I mean, you could add more, but that's just going to keep adding, to this number. I then like to click on remove library. And what that does is now it just gives me the items that are on the system main overview page. So I'm going to do the same thing by click the top 50 and bottom 50. So now I have, well, roughly 200 items. The reason why it's only $199 is probably because either this item or the top red item was in on both sides, so it won't duplicate the item. So some of the things that are showing up here are urinary, the body system's urinary, chemical sensitivity to solvents, your bladder meridian, small intestine meridian point 8, stomach meridian point 42, kidney meridian point 1, cortisol. So if you're anxious, that would make a little bit of sense. Your cortisol is off. Do you have any known sensitivities to lactose or milk? You do. I can't hear you, but I can see you nodding. Okay, so So that makes sense for you. Contempt is showing up, liver. So we can look at these things. We see a bunch of the meridians, specific points. So that might tell you you want to take a deeper dive looking at some of the meridians to maybe regulate what's going on in your body. So I'm just going to go right now to the main hold, I mean, the progressive insights. We can run down this. And again, I'm going to run this um, like I did just before when we ran the vessel priming. And I'm going to select all and run all the items for 1 minute and hit play. So great, you had 41% here. And again, I'm going to hit rescan and then about 30 seconds on. And we can just scroll to the bottom and look and see what some of those are. If there's anything that makes sense to you for what showed up, but sometimes it won't make sense to you. And that's really what I love about working with the general overview is that some of the things that show up here can be like the underlying causes or the root cause to some of what's going on. So that's why I always stress working here, because you wouldn't necessarily think to choose any of these items. So I'm just going to select play and let this run for 30 seconds. So again, 51% rectification and harmony, alignment, and energy flow are pretty close together. I don't like to see a range more than 20% there, but you're well within that range. So that's really great. And now I'm just going to back out of here. We can go to the main hold tray and hit that up arrow so we can empty it out now. And so now we're going to get into the nit and grit of things to try to look at your thyroid and use entangled insights to see if we could go a little bit deeper and get a little bit more information than what we might normally otherwise do. The first thing we can look at, though, is today's stress. And to see what's going on here, your blood sugar these are all red. So again, remember, red or these high values mean that it's acute energetic disturbances. So it's out of balance now, currently in the present. So blood sugar is, maybe you haven't eaten for a while, or maybe you just had a candy bar. So it's not, completely balanced, but it's not something that I would necessarily be concerned about being red, because it is just a snapshot of what it looks like now. If it was blue, I would be more concerned because it's been out of balance for a longer period of time. We can see lymphatics, so we can add these, the red items in the main hold tray. We could look at what's on the bottom in blue, which is cardiovascular, and I think I just added that. And for right now, for today, I'm just going to leave this as it is, as we can look at now in our glands. And let's see, glands are showing blue. Sorry, I have my something blocking, so I can't see this. So your thyroid is showing at 567. So, it's really within that 5 to 600 range, but because we know there's a known issue there, we definitely want to add that into our main hold tray. We can add the blue ones and the red ones as well. But we're also going to go a little bit deeper, and if we can click on this specific line again, and now it will take us to Entangled Insights. Now, Entangled Insights has its own database. Let me just X out of here. And it just gives you another way to do a cross analysis. So if you tap where it says load in all insights here, you can see the different areas that we can work with. And this is an extensive list. I have a printout of it. It's actually hundreds of items. It's pages and pages. Some really cool frequencies that I'm not going to scroll to because it will just take longer, but that are kind of neat that you can find in there are you can have immune system stimulation, regeneration and healing, pain relief, lymph and detox, pineal gland stimulation, healing and regeneration, fractures, healing, intelligence and clarity of thought, and there's a few others. So it would be interesting, and if you're curious, you can scroll through this if you have some time to look at all of those. I am going to just hit load all and then hit select check, and it will analyze everything in this extensive database against your thyroid to see what might show as the causes of the energetic disturbance in your thyroid. Now it doesn't mean because it's 100% that you've had rabies or anything like that, but we are in contact with viruses all the time, even though our immune system may be strong and fight them off. There could be that energetic frequency of it. So remember, this is energetics. This is not the physical form on it. So when you see some of these things, we come in contact all the time with hundreds of bacteria, hundreds of viruses, and for whatever reason, sometimes the energetics of those remain with us for whatever reason. So it's not a reason to get alarmed when you see these things show up. So we can also look down to the 1%, because I always like to look at 101%, which is also showing as the blue. And I'm sorry, I have to scroll for a while to get to the bottom down here. But so we see a Bach flower essence, clematis, and we see a bacteria. We see all the, even some emotions. So I would add, again, the bottom 50 and the top 50. So when you click on this plus, you may not realize that you can scroll, but you can, and you can use that nice little function, add the top 50 and bottom 50 if you have a lot of items there. So we have 110 items. So let's look at these right now in the Progressive Insights. Okay, and I'm going to select all, and let's put that on 1 minute, and we can run this again for you. We can Let's just scroll for the heck of it, see what's coming up. So there's a fungus that's showing up that's low. Thymus. Interesting that blood sugar is showing up there. A Lyme detox, the Bach flower pine, and just curious. Let me see if I can find it quickly, or if anybody knows what it is off the top of your head, feel free to jump in. I don't know my hold on, alphabetically. I'm gonna get it right here in a second. So pine has to do with guilt. For those who blame themselves even when successful, they think they could have done better and are never satisfied with the decisions they make. Would this remedy help me to stop blaming myself for everything? That's a quote from Dr. Bach himself. So I don't know if that resonates with you at all. But if it does, that's what the genius is saying. It has something to do with your thyroid. So again, we can look at clematis, and then just because it's easier to get a little insights when we look at these. So clematis is dreaming of the future without working in the present. Clematis can assist you in grounding you in the future so that you can move in the direction of your dreams. Those who are dreamy, drowsy, not fully awake, not no great interest in life, quiet people, not really happy in their present circumstances, living more in the future than in the present, living in hopes of happier times when their ideals may come true. Again, that's from Dr. Bach. So again, if that resonates for you, hopefully working on this will help balance the energies of these essences. So let's just work on that right now. Okay, you did great here. Again, a 42% rectification. Now, I'm just going to read, Margaret had a great observation. Not sure if this relates, but a lot of times when rabies shows up, a lot of times they have dogs. So just curious if you are a pet owner and if you have a dog, that could be why that rabies was showing up for you. Uh,
Great.
Now I can hear you. I maybe you could put it in the chat. I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry. Um, in the meantime, and then Karen is saying all animals are vectors, and that includes spike proteins from you know what, and some PCR things, transmitters. Ah, you have a stray dog that stays here and a cat. So it's very likely that that's why that frequency is showing up. You absorbed it for whatever reason. So anyway, now I'm just going to rescan. And I'm going to put the timer on 30 seconds and just run the lows for 30 seconds for you. Are you feeling okay? Good. Okay, so it it says that you had an average rectification of 42%, while in theory, we're always looking to find average percent rectification over 42%. If you look at the harmony, alignment, and energy flow, the lowest number is 29% and the highest is 53. I don't really like to see a range more than 20%. So I will run this again for another 30 seconds to see if we can bring that a little closer. When it gets when that range is more than 20%, I just fear that it's not going to hold as well, which is why I like to see um these three be within 20% or less. So let's just run this again. And here um we're good. We're within that 20% range. So I'm happy with that. And it's 63% rectification. So that's great. I just want to take a second and answer Kathy's question. She said, are you finding it better to run the lows instead of the highs after a rescan? That's a great question, Kathy. And most of the time, um, I go on my intuition and a feeling. So today, my feeling was just to run the lows and not the highs and the lows. Sometimes, if you're on here or you watch any of the replays of the Thursday lives, you'll see that I add the highs and the lows. But for whatever reason, I can't tell you my why. It's just my knowingness. I'm just feeling to run the lows today. So I hope that helps. It's not really a clear-cut answer for you, but I would just, I'm a strong believer in when you're using the Genius, just go by your gut. You can't make a mistake. The Genius, you can't send bad frequencies because our bodies are intelligent design and it is only there, your body's only going to take in the frequencies that it needs. So anyway, I hope that helps you. So now we're almost at an hour. So I want to just go to one more library. Whoops. To try to help here and maybe. So I am going to use this, your anatomy of the voice here. Which one? Let's just use this one. And I'm going to add the reds and the blues back in this main whole tray. So it's added to it. And because it's adding to it, I'm going to run the frequencies again, just to make sure that we get all the ones that I just added. And I'm going to run all of them for 1 minute here for you. So again, about 60, you did great here, 67%. I hope we can hear you. If you can talk closer to the mic or any change in your voice, just curious. Ah, I can't hear you so good, but I think it's better.
Something
Does it feel better or different?
does.
Okay, let's go see what your aura looks like, and we can come back to this in a minute and run it again. I just want to look quickly at your aura. I wish we could hear you better. Just let me take a screenshot of this. I have a link to the box flower essences, but you can Google them very easily to get more in-depth definition. But also, if you put those magnifying glasses, it will give you a very tiny definition of what the Bach flower essences, but it won't be as in detailed as what I read. So I would Google them. This is looking much, much better to me. It's pale. So we would want to get you a little bit more like energy in there, but this is looking much better to me than it was before. A lot of some of that stuff is cleared up in here. Let's just look quickly at what in the classic version. Again, we're looking at two completely different things and not going to get into detail on that now. I do want to look and work on a little bit of grounding with you before we close here. So I'm just going to go to my libraries. Well, wait. Let's go to spiritual protection and add grounding. I'm going to add it to the quick zap tray because I don't want to empty out what's in my main hold tray right now. Because if we have time, I'll run that for you for another minute. And I want to look at the Alaskan libraries that I have for grounding, and it's not allowing me to add the whole thing. So let's just add the reds and the blues and um let's just add these, and I'm going to run this. So now you can see the items that I've added to the quick zap. The quick zap is very similar to the main hold tray. The only difference, and it is actually a huge difference between them, is that the quick zap does not use algorithms to run the relationship of all the items within the tray. So it's just running the frequencies of each of those items. The main hold tray again uses algorithms to show what the relationship is of all those items when they're together. So if you looked at them in a library and maybe they were green or yellow when they're in a room, let's say for easier terms with other items, they may not be happy anymore and they may be out of balance. So it just gives you deeper insights or more insights of what's happening. But let's just move, let's just run these for 30 seconds here. Yes, and Karen's mentioning about the PEMF and Odyssey. If you don't have any of those accessories, those are definitely great accessories you may want to add on to your repertoire of healing um, um, accessories that work with your genius. When you use the PEMF wearable, you won't hear the sound, but it goes through I don't have it right here in front of me. Do I have it? No, I don't have it in front of me, but it is Bluetooth, and you can wear it and you get the benefit of the PEMF as well as the infrared light that it runs through, and that is always really great to use. So if you don't have it and you have any questions about it, you can certainly email me, Denise at Inside Health Apps. I can tell you more about it, but it is awesome to use that. And here you don't have, it's not 28%. I mean, it's not 40% rectification, but let's just see how it shifted your aura here for a minute. So again, it's shifting. I don't like this aura as much as the last one, but we can still work on things. Again, you still don't look like, how are you feeling? You don't seem that you're 100% grounded. You may want to go outside, hug a tree, get some sunlight if it's available to you. It's kind of a rainy day here. Hopefully you have some sun. I just want to run these frequencies for you for 1 minute or for a few seconds. And these are some great books that Karen is posting for some of the flower essences. So if you need more information, those are some great suggestions. And thank you, Karen, for posting those and having them so readily available to us. Okay, so that we can last little. How are you feeling? Wait. Let's stop. That's looking a lot better. It's a little kind of murky green in the center, but it's better than that other picture. So I am happy with that. And this one we still need to work on, but I hope we can hear you now. How is your voice? It is, I can read your lips. I can see you saying it's better, but I can't hear you.
Oh, yeah. Maybe that's why I keep, why things aren't working very well. I'm trying to chat, but.
Does
Oh,
it feel better? You feel a difference though? You can just give a thumbs up.
oh.
You do feel a difference. Okay, so thank you for putting that in the chat and a thumbs up. I appreciate that. Well, excellent. If we had more time, we can work on that more. Do you have a quanta capsule? I can send you these frequencies if you have a quanta capsule.
Don't.
You don't? Okay, well, it is something great to have. I do recommend it to all my clients. This way you can get the, added benefit of listening to the frequencies for up to 7 days after the session to just keep in training those frequencies to your body. So you may want to look into that to help with you. If you run a session for yourself and you don't want to redo it every day, you can save yourself a little time by just replaying the frequencies from the sessions in the beginning of the week. So maybe something you want to think about. Does anybody have any questions before we sign off for today? We are a few minutes after the hour. And I know everybody is so busy and have other things to do, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to quickly answer a question for you. Claire, yes?
Quick question that Kathy asked earlier regarding saving the chat. I have 3 lines that 3 dots that appear next to the emoji that says save chat. Is that available for everyone or
It
just
should be, and I saved it. So if you are unable to do that, before we go offline here, email me at Denise at Inside Health Apps and I can send you the chat and you can have all those books and everything in there. And Linda, you are so welcome. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope everybody learned a little bit about the Entangled Insights. I know Margaret's asking a question. Does the Entangled Insight item list get added to an updated with new, oh, you mean do they keep adding new items to it? That's a great question, but it's a pretty like extensive database. So I would say no. If you have something specific maybe that you really wanted added to that, maybe we could give that to Ryan to add, but he's not, to my knowledge, he's not updating that on a daily basis. It's pretty extensive. There's literally like hundreds and hundreds of items in there. So anybody else have any questions? Otherwise, I am thanking everybody for being here. I always love seeing you every week. Thank you so much. You all make it so fun to do this every week and look forward to seeing you next week. And if you have any questions or anybody has a specific issue that hasn't already been a volunteer, please let me know. I would love to have you as a volunteer in another week, next week, or whatever week you may want that would work for you. So let me know. All right. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen right now. And that is all for today. So everybody have a wonderful week and we will see you next week. Bye. And wait, we have to turn the recording off. Hold on.